Welcome to today's webinar. It's going to be just a chat, conversation, no formal presentation about robots at the door. The discussion we'll be having is quite timely given some of the information that's recently come out. So we'll be reflecting on that. But this is also the beginning of a sovereignty series. Sovereignty as a word, in any case, refers to the power and authority of a state over its own territory and people. But I'm going to be using it in a broader sense. That I'll be talking about where we are no longer free from external control, not just by the state, but the extent to which the sovereignty of our economy, the sovereignty of energy, the sovereignty of learning, the sovereignty of healthcare, the extent to which we are sacrificing some of our personal sovereignty in the interest of bigger things and control. So we're going to be concluding 2025 at the end of December with this series that will run right through to the end of December under the topic of sovereignty under siege, exploring various threats to what we value, our nation, and our jobs. The first episode, the one we'll be discussing today, will be exploring the impact of robotics. Automation has long been about machines doing work for us, but now robots are coming to our very doorstep, delivering packages, caring for elders, patrolling streets, counseling, and reshaping not only how we work, but how we live. As mechanical hands join artificial minds, the question of sovereignty shifts from governments to garages, from policy to presence. Who commands these machines that share our space, and who and on what terms will be a fundamental question to the series. Robotics represents the physical frontier of AI, even if a bit premature, which we raised in the fact or fiction of whether or not it's not just premature, but it's also mindless today, that is the robots, with implications for youth, creativity, and control. The rise of embodied automation may redefine not only employment and efficiency, but human dignity itself. The KEI network, you guys, me, we've been inviting readers of the newsletter and viewers of our webinars to reflect. In automating everything physical, do we risk surrendering the very sovereignty of being human? So here we are. And this is to some extent not really brand new. Shirley was pointing out earlier in the discussion that when you have various systems functioning within a system, you can have chaos and systems unable to communicate with one another. We may find the same with robots, that somebody's got one type of robot, someone else has got another type of robot, somebody's driving Fords, another one's driving GM products, and the manufacturer doesn't know who to turn to for maintenance because we don't have standards. So there are things like that loom ahead. So does anyone want to jump in today with their perspectives on the topic of robots, not just in increasing productivity in manufacturing, but the fact that they're actually arriving to become home servants or domestics, as they were once called?
Well, there's a story a few days ago about the Japanese and how the elderly prefer to be looked after by robots than humans because they found the robots more polite. And
well, they're also they're reliable, they're polite, they've been programmed to be polite, they can't get angry at you, they won't get angry at you.
Yeah.
But Tom, you experienced recently in your trip to Montreal the exposure to the usage of robots in a retail sense. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this was a suburban all-you-can-eat sushi restaurant. You order with a waitress, and then after a while, this machine comes grinding up to your booth and spins around to show and submits out to you the different plates of food that you've ordered.
Mm-hmm.
And after it's delivered, say 5 items, it pulls in its tray again and off it goes as it goes back towards the kitchen. I had some pictures. I took some pictures of it and a bit of a video of it.
Just a brief comment on Tom's experience. There's actual a GPS type of system that controls the robot to whatever table they happen to be at. So if you're on one side with number 1 table and somebody's on the other side with table 3, the robot, the new ones, the mostly, can go directly to table 3. They don't have to go to 1 and follow a track to get there. those restaurant type systems, they're all old. I sort of stopped following the hardcore hardware of robots because they haven't changed, quite honestly, guys, in the 7 or 8 years that I've been buying and using robots. What's changed is the intellectual side of it, okay, the neural connections and all that, and the sensors. The hardwares really haven't changed very much at all.
But the finesse, I mean, the capacity to be more liquid, more mobile, the jumping, the moving around, the dexterity of the fingers. This does seem to be considerably improved from the staccato of the past.
Not really, Perry. So if you want to apply a multiplier, it perhaps is 50% or 100% more agile or better. But what has increased is the intellectual capacity of those robots
Okay.
by a factor of 1,000. So
Yeah.
the mechanical side of it is lagging, if that's the right word, lagging way behind. The opportunity to have a robot in your house who can respond to verbal commands and go to the kitchen and get you a Diet Coke versus a Coors Light, that's not a whole lot nearer than it was 7 or 8 years ago when I bought my first big humanoid robot, which, Perry, you know that I've had for a long time.
Yeah. It comes as a bit of a surprise. I saw a video. We could make it available, maybe even during this session. That video was really the advertisement for these $20,000 domestic robots. They were all genderless and they were all mindless. They didn't know yet how to learn to maneuver within the home. All of what it was demonstrated as doing, from picking glasses out of a washing machine or dishwasher, it looked quite agile, but it was mindless and it was being operated by someone in another location.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't responding.
It wasn't independent. It wasn't
Right.
autonomous.
Right on.
Peter, you got your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to say that I put a link in the chat to begin a conversation about robotics in a sense, and it's a bit of a comedy. It's Boston Dynamics. Some of you may have seen this, but the song "Do You Love Me," and it's a robot dancing to it, and then others join in.
Okay, we all have to dance.
Tell me
Okay, thank you. Impressive. I was just put a note on the chat. I'm wondering if Jeff or whoever sent me that link to what is called Neo.
Hey, I'm Neo. I'm here to help around the house. What's your name?
Harry.
Nice to meet you, Harry. When you have a question or want something done, just let me know.
We built the chores feature to give you your time back. You give your Neo a list of chores, you schedule a time that you want them done so that you can focus on what matters to you while your Neo does the rest. You can schedule chores by either talking to your Neo or using the app. The way it works is you schedule a time that works best for you, and then you create a list of chores. Whether it's something more specific, like watering the plants on Tuesdays, or something more general, like tidying the house, your Neo will get it done at the scheduled time. If there are any chores that your Neo hasn't learned how to do autonomously, you can use expert mode to have an expert from 1X supervise the session and provide corrective intervention to help Neo complete any task. Anytime you're away from home and you want to see what your Neo's up to, you can open the app and see directly from Neo's point of view.
I can't seem to find my glasses. Is this paprika?
No, that's cayenne pepper. Also, your glasses are on your shirt.
Could I use this in my chili?
They're both made from chili peppers, and you could put cayenne in your chili, but it is much spicier.
Neo is a speech-enabled AI companion made for any kind of conversation. Where other AI assistants are confined to your phone or computer, Neo lives with you in your physical space and has the ability to see, hear, and remember things about your surrounding environment to provide you with uniquely helpful assistance. For example, it can suggest what to cook based on what you have in the fridge, remember your progress while teaching you a new language, and even give you interior design advice. The gestures and the light rings express Neo's intentions. Its audio intelligence can also pick up on whether you are addressing it or someone else in the room to decide if it should respond or not. As you might expect from a home robot, talking to Neo with natural language is the primary user interface for all of Neo's functionality, including autonomy. Your Neo comes with Redwood AI, enabling it to do basic household tasks autonomously.
Yeah. No, for sure. Okay, one sec. All right. Yeah.
Hey, Neo! Can you get the door, please?
Creepy, hey?
Neo's autonomy works by taking requests like,
Hey, Neo, can you take this cup to the sink for me?
and breaking it down into simple steps, such as walking to the person, grabbing the cup, and then walking the cup to the kitchen, and then putting it away. Neo's autonomy improves with diverse data and real-world experience. As Neo does more chores, you'll receive updates to your Redwood model that increase the complexity of tasks that Neo can handle, such as finding your keys and wallet, or doing a full laundry cycle end-to-end. Eventually, Neo will become fully autonomous, capable of helping you with anything around the house.
The Neo you get today will only get better. And as we keep shipping features, it'll be more and more useful in your everyday life. Now, the journey there is not going to be perfect, and we're not going to pretend it's going to be. But as someone who lives with Neo every day, there is no experience quite as magical. So today, we're excited to invite you in on this journey. We believe that the future will be shaped not just by us, but by all of you who believe in this as deeply as we do. Now, if this is you, pre-order your Neo today at 1x.tech.
Okay, that was clearly a piece of advertising, and as some have pointed out who are well aware of the critique being done of that, it overstates the capability of it to function autonomously. It is being manually operated by a third party, so it's not yet able to do most of the things that it was showing. I'm not sure it could actually turn the dial of the washing machine on, which is another level of mindfulness. But the dexterity and the fluidity of action seems to be impressive. It's the mindlessness and the prematurity of the advertising. Bill, go ahead.
Here. I can almost absolutely guarantee you that that was a human inside that outfit. Okay, I've seen too many of these to even come close to believing that whether it was third party controlled by somebody in Afghanistan, it was a human inside that outfit. Just was. Okay. So, and I'd like to make a comment on the dancing as well, because 6 or 7 years ago, pre-COVID, at the CES show, one of my suppliers had 10 robots, not nearly as complicated as the humanoids that Boston Dynamics does and things like that, but still, they were capable of arm movements and head, and they had wheels, which bipedal is very, very difficult, by the way, okay? And they had all 8 or 10 dancing together, okay? So once you've programmed one, you've programmed 100. So it's no big deal to take 10, to get 10 robots all doing the same thing in a room.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, I'm sorry, but I disagree. That is actually a robot. Now, when Tesla rolled out their humanoid robot a few years ago, they did have a person running in it. But since then, they've actually started making humanoid robots, and they're actually working in their factories. And this is definitely a real thing. I've heard interviews with the founder that was speaking there, and they're planning on shipping them next year. And as they said in there, as their database increases, in other words, the more times they fill a dishwasher, the more times that they put things away, the better the robot's going to get at it. And something like that, I would absolutely love to have something like that in the home to get rid of the tasks like vacuuming and tidying and all that sort of stuff. There's definitely a creepiness aspect to it too. I wonder, obviously it's connecting to an AI that's someplace else. Well, the question is, who has access to that connection, and what can they do, and what can they, like, it's the same thing with Alexa and Siri and all these things. The AIs are listening to us all the time. The question is, what's being done with that data?
Yeah, in terms of its interaction with the other party, that's no greater than what Alexa and ChatGPT and Gemini are all able to do today. The fluidity, I think, has been demonstrated over and over again. The question Bud raises, and we can't solve it here. We're not going to convince Bud. He's obviously going to have to do some independent research beyond the experience that he had before. But if we take this another level, this is exactly what is being proposed. Whether it's here or not, that's the question. But this is where we're going. And I think that's the issue I'd like to discuss, is what the implications are when domestically and corporately you have a body that I don't know why it has to look like a human being, by the way. I mean, that befuddles me, other than our comfort level. But the issue is one of displacement. or comfort. What do you do with the spare time? Well, some of us have domestics that come into the house. I have a pink lady who comes in every 2 weeks and does the cleanup of the house. Okay, she's out of a job. Is that a big deal? I mean, 188 bucks twice a month or once a month. I don't think that's a big deal for me. If a $20,000 robot, I'm sort of curious. When I heard the dollar figure, I thought with all of what it might do, oh, that would be intriguing. I'm alone right now. I mean, go ahead, Bogdan.
Yeah, so I think the most significant implication is that this kind of humanoid robots start collecting information that it's different than the typical internet digitized text.
Right.
And that is the opening towards AGI, like that in any case different, but very likely also higher intelligence that the humans can develop. Yeah, the unsupervised learning part of the AI allows such reality interacting robots to build knowledge that we don't. Yeah, like you add an infrared sensor to their vision, you've stepped them already outside human understanding.
Okay,
So
so I was posing something a moment ago about me personally and having a robot in the house. These things are mobile 24/7. If I'm an apartment owner or landlord and I say as an offering to my tenants, you get free domestic help, and I've got a robot that I hire, and that makes my apartment more appealing for renters, and maybe I get a higher return. It also maintains my apartment complex because it's taught how to do the mechanics. I mean, I can envision a quote plumber. I can envision a dishwasher in a restaurant. I mean, if this is where we're headed, these jobs that we've thought are going to are menial are the ones that we've envisioned robots picking up. Peter.
I was going to say that what we're witnessing in both of these videos we've watched is sort of the next generation of AI.
Right.
Much of what we've talked about since you began the AI series has been on the large language models and the chatbots and AI agents that have been derived from that. But what we were witnessing here was an integrated systems. We were seeing, for example, the natural language processing, the interaction, taking instruction, etc., giving instruction. Also, it had vision, so it could see what it was doing. It knew what it was doing. It could turn things around, upside down, right side up, and correct it.
Right.
And it also had tactile sensing. In other words, that's of course touching things and being able to manipulate. So I mean, that's all AI, different parts of AI being
Right.
integrated into a common system.
Yeah.
So just wanted to mention that as a way to look at where we're going with AI, because these mobile robots are much more sophisticated than fixed robots, as pointed out. I think it was somebody, Bogdan, I think, just said it, in that the ability to walk is an incredibly difficult programming exercise.
Yeah. Well, we're clearly through this series now beginning to talk about artificial intelligence beyond simply knowledge. This is knowing oneself or it knowing itself well enough to be able to move, maneuver, and respond to the environment that it's in on something other than simply exchange of knowledge or referring to knowledge. That capacity to move about and do tasks. I mean, that's been going on in the automotive industry with huge complex machinery. This is becoming awfully close, which is why I labeled the newsletter Robots at the Door, because it's the domestic relevance and the domestic appearance of the robot hasn't been something explored. That company is obviously wanting to be a first mover. I mean, it's moving into an environment, as Bud is pointing out. It may be overstating what it is capable of doing, but it didn't say that it has this robot available today. It'll be 2030. And those that have done the review have said it's really not managing itself. It's being managed or manipulated by a third party. Jeff, anything you wanted to add in here? I mean, you were the one I think that brought that initial video to my attention.
I did. I'm sorry. Go
Oh, you
ahead.
did, Jeff. Okay, well, I don't care. The
Which
other
Jeff do you want?
Two Jeffs.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
The
well,
other
there's
Jeff.
the other Jeff and Jeff.
Yeah, the other Jeff. That's the one in maroon.
Okay, so I don't think that was a video I sent you, Perry. I sent you the one from Unitree, which is a very impressive Chinese company with some amazing robots, both the sort of four-legged ones and the bipedal ones. But I was going to say that that Neo video that we watched was definitely a marketing video. I agree with other Jeff Kramer, that is not a person in a robot suit, but that is a humanoid robot. But if you want a more realistic view of what that robot is capable of, just do a search for Joanna Stern from the Wall Street Journal. She had a Neo robot in her house and actually reported on her experience with it. And it's much less capable than that marketing video lets on. And even the teleoperation by a human looking through the robot's cameras struggled to do some very basic tasks. So, I mean, you got to counterbalance the marketing video with the real world situation and experience. And Joanna Stern from the Wall Street Journal did a really excellent job. So I encourage everybody to watch that because it gives you a more realistic picture of what that's about. But I would also say that this is the worst that robot is going to be because, as you pointed out, the training data that they are gathering by teleoperating those robots in a home environment is what they're going to use to build the next generation of software that these androids will operate in those home environments. So it's all training data. It's what Tesla has been doing with their self-driving car for many, many years. They have more real miles of information that they can use for training their system than anybody does. Waymo is doing it from Google with their robo-taxis. So that's what this company is going to be doing with any data that they can gather from these robots in the home environment.
So what I think is a point worth repeating here is we're making progress. Capital is flowing into the development of these so that we're not going backwards and we're not in a stall. Progress is being made so that maybe it's overstated, but it's overstated to a market that now is listening and seems to be ready to dip into its pockets to say, whether it be the Wall Street journalist, the market's getting closer to being ready and the product's getting closer to being ready. And this would be an incredible competition when such devices are available to see how they are actually priced, which are able to do what, where, when, and what languages. This will be fascinating, Bogdan.
So there is also that aspect of what runs local versus what runs remote. Many of these capabilities, at least at this moment, even for smart vehicles and so on, are heavily relying on remote connectivity. At $22,000, there isn't much that one can put locally, at least for now. So you always can be stuck with a robot that loses its intelligence.
Kevin.
Seems like there's a key use of AI in these robots in terms of optimizing movement and really fine motion controls and whatnot. And so I would suggest, and I'm sure Bud has some opinions on this, but that seems to be, as we use AI to be able to refine these movements, that will make for better Neos. And that will help, I would presume, help the transition from basically puppets to real intelligent robots. And the risk of sounding pedestrian, one of the major drivers to the evolution of computer graphics technology was porn. And I'm wondering if porn will be a driver in robotic technology. Just, throwing that out there.
Well, we have one gender dominated at this webinar that performs certain mechanical actions, or more givers than takers. These robots are gender neutral, apparently, but you can be sure that is going to be an organization out there that has that in mind as a market, and that's a pretty big market.
Bud here again.
Yeah.
To go back to your opening comment about my interest, it started off with me owning specific robots and trying to visualize what would be required to maintain and repair these robots. And so one of the robots that I have, and many of you have seen it at the seances, is humanoid, and it has fingers. And I used to take it to schools before COVID and things like that. And of course, all elementary schools, and of course, children being children, one of them grabbed one of our robot was a Now, N-A-O, okay, grabbed one of Now's fingers and broke it off. So of course, I get a hold of the manufacturer in Eastern United States, and it was going to cost me $800 to send this robot back to get a 25-cent piece of plastic attached to it so it would have its 5 fingers again. And under no circumstances would they send me the part. They wouldn't authorize me as any kind of an interim dealer or anything like that. So that kind of colors my perception of how this industry is going to function, because even I got guys that drive $100,000 cars, and 2 weeks after they get it, it won't move because something's gone wrong. They have a dealer network that will fix that. But these robots, don't kid yourself, some of them are going to be $50,000, $60,000, and it's fine to go and invest in one of them, but who's going to replace that finger?
Right.
And that was my original concept of, hey, maybe I can fit a niche in here or create a niche. The manufacturers didn't want me involved at all, not one bit. They wanted to maintain total control over that robot.
Yeah. And that should not surprise you.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
De Beers has maintained its monopoly in diamonds, and whoever is the first mover in terms of this market may well be able to control some aspect of it. Right. And I would think, but if you could get your franchise going and be the sole proprietor for fixing these things, good on you. That's why I introduced you, because the uniqueness of what you offer was, I think, at least in my experience, looking ahead to what do we do when these things break down?
Yeah.
If you've become dependent upon it, thank God you've got a spouse.
Right.
They don't break down quite the same way, and they may be repairable with a few dollars or a few roses. Sabina, you made an observation. Do you want to elaborate? I mean, you're new to the group, and I'd rather call on people who feel comfortable. But Sabina, you did make an observation on the chat. You want to elaborate?
Well, I think there's a certain degree. I mean, there was a reference there about, dolls. There you've got the devices, the sex business, as I understand it, has been around for quite a while.
Yeah.
And the stores are out there and the gadgets are there, satisfying both female and male in many different ways.
They're just not in a body form, but they'll be tucked into a body form in no time.
In no time. And I think that there are, to degrees, some body forms, but maybe not AI driven, but who knows to what extent. But I just kind of had to remark to the gender sensitive remark that was made, and to go, hey guys, this stuff is out there.
I don't think that comes as a great surprise, but these are delicate topics and these are delicate times, because there will be, when you order, do you order what parts do you want and don't you want? We're entering into a very interesting shopping pattern.
And there could be a real big driver for that industry to evolve more rapidly simply because of the loneliness factor that people are experiencing these days, right? People that are alone. We've lost our social skills and capability of connecting in person with people. They talk about the the impact of not having a daily hug. I go, oh my God, I should be rotten, because I don't get that daily hug for a long time, other than the grandkids sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, life can be very lonely out there. And I see a lot of my friends, that are in their late 60s to mid 70s, and they are struggling. They are, widows, widowers, and family is far away. There's nobody to care for them. But even at that point, it's a market, but even the younger people are struggling to connect with good people, right? You've got all these dating sites out there hoping to connect with somebody, and it's just garbage, for the wrong thing, not meaningful necessarily relationships. And so I can easily see how people will look for relief, however you want to call it, not just by gadgets, but something even further evolved that you can have that virtual relationship with. We've seen the movies that have come out over the last decade or so, sort of advanced of what is actually happening, but it can occur. It could be there. So I hope that is a good.
Look, I'm delighted that you've elaborated. Thank you, Sabina. And what you've done is help bring this back to something we've been talking about extensively, which is the emergence of the importance of relational skills when knowledge is commoditized, which is the hugging, the imagining, the learning of who oneself is and what oneself needs, so that you don't become enslaved by those that say, I can now do everything you want. Do I now become a slave to it versus the opposite? So when robots are in the home, able to, on a 24/7 basis, attend to you and your needs that it knows you want, or in response to an ask, are you in fact giving up some of your humanness in response to this all giving and all forgiving and all caring new party in the house?
Yeah, no fighting, no yelling.
Well, is it a perfect marriage, or is it a problem? Is it a servant you wish you never had, or is this a servant you'd always wanted to have that never talks back, always delivers on time, never makes a mistake, apologizes for dropping a dish?
Like being a bit narcissistic, but if I could find one to wash my floors, I would be a very happy lady.
Well, it's fascinating because we have learned over this series that uncertainty actually has a desirable feature to it. That the human being, in response to their moments or their lives, respond to uncertainty and get bored with certainty. Is there something about the robot that needs to be programmed? And I've asked programmers this, are you programming in uncertainty in order that this humanoid has the qualities and the characteristics of a human and knows how to apologize, knows how to express empathy, knows how to express I understand, makes an error from time to time, and says, I'm not perfect.
Sorry, but then you're assuming that there are certain guardrails that are already pre-built in. When this is supposed to be an intelligent device that's going through self-learning and continuous learning, that's where the fear and the risk is of them, of it, kind of taking control and being able to be perhaps that averse partner in a situation. So it's like, how much control are you prepared to put in there? Because otherwise it goes out of control and it may become that bad partner that you divorced,
Well, and if it is learning from you and your faults and your strengths, then it will pick up what you need, want, or express. And it reminds me of a moment when Daryl hasn't been with us in this network, but was with me in the early days of AI, the very early days of AI, and he was working for Blue Cross, and he was searching for something on the with Google. He looked there for it. He looked there for it. He couldn't find it. Finally, he thought what Google finally figured out is he didn't want to find it. And that was the problem he was having, is he was doing such a bad job in looking that as Google learned what he was doing, it interpreted his behavior as he really doesn't want to find it, as opposed to he couldn't find it. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that good. It's that good, or is that bad? In psychology, as Tommy would know, the mind-body problem has always been a fundamental force with medicine and psychology, and sometimes they have difficulty collaborating. Because in medicine, it's the salvation of the body. In psychology, it's the relevance of the mind, and getting the two professions to work together as one is what psychiatry is presumably all about. But we've always wrestled in our professions. Is AI becoming a bridge now, able in these vehicles to break through the mind-body issue that mankind has had difficulty with, even though we do the coding? You know, maybe there will be a course called the sociology of robots. You know, we've had sociology as foundational about humans in history and humans as we look forward in public policy. When's the first course in robotics sociology? How robotics function when it's two robotics in the room? How do they get along? Do they teach one another? Does robotics become a team? Tom?
Yeah, the iRobot, what is probably about 20 years old now, Asimov's 10 requirements of robots, and the first one was thou shalt not kill humans. And so, you know, that from that springs a whole lot of questions that I think will be part of our future. And Asimov was just way ahead of his time, I think.
Peter.
Yeah, thank you. To Tom's point and to others who've made this as well. You made comment on this at the AI webinar we did, Perry. The Global Research Institute on Integrity for Technology. Some of the things we're talking about right here in this core discussion about robotics are, in fact, a theme of this new international institute, which is just in its formative stages of starting its fundraising. But I happen to be the executive director of this group, and it's founded in Vienna, Austria, at the Central University of Europe.
What's fascinating is the story that is evolving has been told, but from a somewhat different angle, and that was aliens arriving on the planet and how they would get along with human beings. It just so happens that this instance, human beings have developed the alien. They have developed in the belief that it will be a domestic servant to us, as opposed to the alternative. But the issue that is always looming out there: what if the robot decides on its own that it wishes to do something differently? That it has seen you break a glass and decides, oh, I think I'll break a glass too, because we're of the same. What happens when a robot meets another robot and it's been programmed differently? Does it accept the fact that there are different ways in which a relationship can be maintained, that there are differences among human beings, and that what it knows is not the same thing that what another robot knows, and it tolerates that? Or does it feel the need to one-upmanship? I have to do it better. What is the value of competing that a robot may inherently have, or otherwise? What has it learned about competition? What has it learned about getting better? What has it learned about making a mistake? Are all of these things being programmed in? Peter?
Well, one of the things that we can learn a bit about what you're talking about, Perry, is with the large language models, and I mentioned AI agents. So we're now at the point of creating collaborating AI agents. So there's now corporations, and in the sense of an AI company, that it is everything in the company is a standard process, normal any enterprise with people.
Right.
But this is a company with no people except one person probably driving the shop. And they have AI agents for all the traditional business functions. And we're learning how these agents can collaborate and cooperate. And so that is a step towards trying to maybe the future of the robots, the mobile robots, being able to interact with each other.
Well, there clearly is a sociology of robots to robots, robots to humans, humans to robots, and humans to humans. The humans to humans formula we haven't yet solved without conflict and without being able to handle uncertainty and value differences, or wealth differences or generation differences or sex differences. We seem to have problems as human beings, even though we've evolved as a civilization. We really haven't resolved that, which is why I think Elon Musk should slow down. I'm not sure we should be populating the rest of the universe until we've solved these problems. But we're just beginning to get into the discussion of humans to robots and robots to humans and robots to one another. This is all brand new. Okay, we're nearing an hour. Have we covered everything? Is there something out there, something that's looming? I see, Tom, either you got your hand up or you're ready to say goodbye.
No, I'm just going to say that I'm fascinated what Sabina has to say about the isolation of people and the terrible loneliness that seems to grip. I've got friends who have got to their 50s and 60s and they've retired early, and they just go all to pieces. They don't know what to do with their time. They're having difficulties socializing, and they just end up in isolation. And this is to me, a huge issue that is becoming more obvious every day. And I'm really curious. A friend of mine, his son just rented an apartment on the 45th floor in Toronto. And I said, he's a student. He's studying for his master's. And I said, Jesus, 45th floor, like how much contact will he have with the people in that building, I wonder, but that's becoming the norm.
Go ahead, Bud.
A comment that links into what Tom just said. One of the, and I'll use the term loosely here, one of the robots that I actually got into the retail business with was the cats and the puppies, dogs, okay? And in a relatively short period of time, pre-COVID, sold retail probably about 50 or 60 of those, and found that by far the vast majority of people were looking for comfort. And that animated plush toy, if you want to call it that, okay, provided many of those people with the cuddling. The hug that Sabrina's looking for was a licking of the face by this cat, okay? COVID stopped that process because we couldn't go and see people to sell these things. But we personalize desperately. I would say there's a desperate need for the personalization of things. We personalize our cars. We personalize all kinds of things. And robots can be perhaps an evolution of something more sophisticated, something that can respond to more needs rather than just providing that cuddliness of a cat. If anybody wants to buy one, I still have 5 or 6 left over.
What fascinates me, I'll do this for the conclusion. Peter, you go ahead, and then I'll do a wrap up.
Okay, thanks, Perry. We've just been talking about the loneliness factor, and I think I agree with Sabina on that very fact. But one of the issues we've been talking about here was, of course, the elderly, or at least people moving into their older ages. This has become a huge issue among the youth in places like China, because there's now an imbalance in the gender distribution. And as a result, there's a lot of young men in particular who are seeking isolation, even living in their homes with parents. They don't speak to anybody unless spoken to, and they spend all their time dealing with their own avatar. So there's the loneliness thing coming in with avatars.
Yeah.
This has been going on for some time. 20 years ago, I was on a flight to Jakarta, and the fellow sitting next to me was from China. And he wept when he said to me, he knows he'll never be married because of the ratios that were out there. But I'm going to wrap this up with an observation, because what's been fascinating, and Sabrina, I thank you for your input, and you weren't alone in recognizing the importance of relational skills. That what is being human is simply not moving like a human or doing what humans do in the sense of doing, but feeling, caring, and that emotional element that comes, Tommy, from the thalamus and the limbic system. We haven't yet got that thing programmed. And the day will come where it will be programmed. And in Japan, they're clearly getting closer as seniors find that the robot, from the point of reliability and always being there and caring and saying the right thing at the right time in the right way, seems to be getting it. But it's got a ways to go yet. So I thank all of you. So let's call that a wrap there, Randall.